Okay, people. So I'm going to try and keep this brief. Obviously thinking about Uncle John. It is what it is. Because, just remember, they took away 30 years of his life. These people that medically kidnapped him and took over his assets also took away 30 years of his life. And they punish him, people. They reprimand him for talking about the kids, his grandchildren, his great-grandson, his stepdaughter, me. They punish him for that, people. Because if he talked about it in Victoria, wherever he is, because right now, the rumor on Get Off My Internet, which is a hate site, you can take all those women that flock in that cesspool of gossip and put a white sheet over their head, basically, with little holes, with a big sign in the back saying, bitches of the Ku Klux Klan, because that's what they are. They are a hate site. They hate on little children, and they stalk YouTube channels. People out there just trying to outreach, be the YouTube community that YouTube likes to promote. And these people on Get Off My Internet think they have somehow the right to go creep other people's YouTube channels, including mine, for whatever reason, and stalk them out, try and find out where they live, try and get them evicted, try and make it so that they can't get jobs, try and make it so that they get accused of things that never go to court, so that they can boost up their readership, their advertising sales, and allow criminal activity and, white-collar criminals in general to infiltrate, like the Duncan clan has infiltrated this website, to spew out even more hate. Because when you go on there and you read what's already been typed out, in terms of gossip, Uncle John apparently, from somebody that knows John, all third-party people, right? Kind of like the banks, right? They're saying that he's gone to Calgary with a bunch of seniors for a little holiday. Let me tell you something, people. Uncle John can't sit for long periods of time. He has to get up and move around, because if he doesn't get up and move around, he seizes up. And these people at the hospital and at the temporary care ward, they use that against him. And that's why they got away with what they got away with, in terms of having him in a wheelchair where he couldn't get up and walk away on his own. They pushed him out of there. And then when they pushed him out of there, they took a big fucking spoon and they gouged out, people, 30 years of his life to cover up their lie, basically. All to control his assets. Whether it's his pension plan and nothing else, or whether it's his pension plan and maybe what his wife left him through her superannuation life insurance policy, which his extended family failed to tell him about for over 13 months, hoping that one, he'd either die before they tell him, or two, he'd get sick and then they'd come in and do what they've done. As they use hate sites to spread their gossip, insinuendos, propaganda, and lies. Right? So, GOMI is just another extension of the KKK, in my opinion. They have attacked my adult children. They have attacked my children. They have attacked my grandson. They have attacked me. They have publicly participated in the humiliation of the nonprofit New Foundation for Community Partnerships, and they are negligent in acknowledging the fact that Uncle John was a founding board director and has been ever since the conception of the nonprofit, which this site, along with their affiliates, is trying to trash, because they're trying to take out the 30 years of Uncle John's memory. Because if he's on a bus going to Calgary, which he couldn't do, people, even with assistance, it would be too hard on him physically, unless they've got him so programmed to be a robot that he just went and sucked it up. But then on the other hand, apparently, through the gossip through GMOMI, he goes to some little care center 3 days a week and hangs out with a little old lady because he's fond of her. That's what it says. That's what this somebody that knows John says John is doing. As he's talking to this little old lady about what? What is he talking about, people? Because he's not allowed to talk about the 30 years that he's known me, 31, going on 32 years. He lived in the house for 23. Prior to that, he was coming to the house for every day. Right? So you might as well add on a couple of more years. And then even when I was gone, he was phoning me. He bought my car. He came up to Alberta. He got us and the kids, got me and the kids. When we got back, we stayed in his apartment with his wife and his daughter. That's how I know that the floor was sticking to the feet. Because when I came back from Alberta with my children, after Uncle John came and got me, right, with a car that he bought, but he couldn't drive it because he couldn't see. So I had to drive it. I drove it back from Alberta, back to Victoria, and he came out to get me to make sure I got back safe. And then when I got back, we went straight to his apartment. And I stayed there with the kids for a couple, 2-3 weeks until I secured an apartment, or a house. It was a little house. Right? That's how I know. The dust never moved, because I was in that apartment. I lived in that apartment for like 2-3 weeks when I got back from Alberta. I have pictures of Sierra on Uncle John's shoulder when we got back from Alberta. Right? And Sierra was like 3. She was young. 2.5 or something like that. So he's sitting there, and he's not allowed to talk about that to this old woman that he's fond with. He has to feed her lies. Think about it, people. He has to say, oh, the rumor is, I hear there's some Chorney family after you. So we got to make sure that they can't get through the door. So if they come knocking at the care home to see you, we have to send them away because whatever you're telling us, John, isn't true. But before you tell us, we're just going to tell you, you can't tell us. You're not allowed to talk about Judy and the kids. Right? You're not allowed to talk about the kids at the Gateway place that used to come at 7 o'clock in the morning and say, Uncle John opened the door. You're not allowed to talk about the dog that you owned 15 fucking years and walked. Every day. Blue. His dog. His dog. A seeing eye dog that was never freaking certified. But that dog brought Uncle John home when Uncle John got lost one time going to go get the kids from school. And it was Blue that took him to a school. It wasn't the school that the kids were at. It was a different school. But the dog knew to take Uncle John to the school. And then the school called me up. And I had to go get Uncle John. Uncle John's not allowed to remember those memories. He's not allowed to remember the memories when we were running down the street at 12:30 at night with this freaking mattress. And Uncle John says, well, here, let's put it underneath this truck. It was a big monster truck. And the mattress just would have slipped right underneath, right? We're ditching it, right? And I'm like, no, John, you can't do that. You can't leave a mattress underneath a truck. Let's just take it over there by the bin. Because we were taking it to a bin, right? Like a big Smith Wright bin. Oh, I tell you, if Uncle John was around right now, he'd be howling. He'd be howling. What about the crooked fence that we made when we lived at Wally's house? Uncle John was proud of that crooked fence, and so was I. Right? It was our first fence that we ever built. It was crooked, but we were proud of it. But the Duncan clan and their affiliates and anyone that wants to foster hate, cover up that lie. You're not allowed to talk about it. We're just going to spread gossip with no confirmation. It's all done in antagonization, with to antagonize. Well, you sure antagonize me. It's a hate site, people. It's a hate site. They attack teenagers just like with fucking social services and that type of shit when they're removing kids from homes. No different. This is no fucking different. You're dealing with the same kind of mentality. They have absolutely no remorse. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care why they hurt them, as long as they can reap rewards of some kind. Mostly financial, though. At the end of the day, most of these people that do this kind of stuff do it for financial reasons. And this GOMM eyesight, do it for their advertising, do it for their get up there and get up into the ranks of, where the, however the search engines fucking appraise these things. Basically what they've done and what they're allowing to continue is 30 years of Uncle John's brains all scooped out, because they're cannibals. They like to eat other people's fucking shit. Right? In terms of their bodies, they like dead bodies with the money that come with it. And if they can't get the fucking money when they're fucking dead, they'll get the money when they're fucking alive. They had to keep Uncle John alive in order to be able to do all their little paper transfers. Oh, well, this much time has passed, and therefore I'm taking control of Uncle John's assets because I've done it from the first day that he came to Victoria, even though I took him with the intent for the ill purposes. She didn't take him to Victoria so he could hang out with his brothers and sisters. Because if she took him to Victoria to hang out with his brothers and sisters, then he'd be allowed to talk about 31, 32 years of his life. And especially when he took Baloo to the freaking go pick up the kids, and that dog brought him to another school because Uncle John got lost, and he found his way home because of the dog. Because of the dog. But Uncle John's not allowed to remember his dog, right? He's not allowed to remember Blue. Blue is faithful, man. You know how many times people used to walk over Blue to you come into the door? Because we lived in an apartment and Blue came with us, and he came in and he was a big dog. But because Uncle John was blind, Blue was designated as a seeing eye dog. And that dog would just lay there because he wasn't allowed to walk around in an apartment. He had from A to B, from the front door, which was only one door, onto the balcony, because his food was on the balcony. Outside of that, he just laid there until somebody took him for a walk. And people used to walk over him and open the door, and walk over him, open the door, leave. Uncle John did all that too. Walked over that dog 1,000,000 times. And that dog never, not once, ever, did that dog ever trip anybody in the house. But Uncle John's not allowed to remember that, though, is he? Because he's too busy being fond of some elderly woman after he had a 4-day, play date up in fucking Calgary. How many pills did it take to shut him up with the pain on that one? Sitting on a bus for 12 hours, going in and out, struggling in strange washrooms, right? Because you can't see people, right? More gaslighting, more stressing him out, right? And then in a minute he mentions ShaMay, or the minute he mentions Marcane, or the minute he mentions Tisha, or the minute he mentions Sierra, or the minute he mentions Brooks, or the minute he mentions Judy, or the minute he mentions Baloo, he gets reprimanded, people, and told not to talk about it. Because if he talks about it, they're gonna get caught. And because the GMI website and its irresponsible owner wants to perpetrate lies for the purpose of hurting children, small children, youth, adult children, and the community in regards to the nonprofit, is a racist bitch.